has only 2 elements. All right. And which are those 5 elements? S, V, O, C, A. S stands for subject, V stands for verb, O stands for object, C for complements, and A for adverbials. We have discussed 2 compulsory elements, that is subject and verb. And now we are supposed to discuss objects, complements, and adverbials. If you let me teach smoothly, like in 15-20 minutes, then I'll leave you at 4:30. But if you'll keep on making nuisance like this, what you're doing right now, yes, what is the issue? क्या प्रॉब्लम है यहाँ पे? Why are you shouting? अलार्म? तुम क्यों चिल्ला रहे हो? उसका अलार्म बजा तो? हाँ? बॉम्ब थोड़ी है वो. All right. So what were the subjects? Which is the most important element of the sentence? Verb. All right. Because any sentence which doesn't have any action is non-verbal signals. क्यों दे रहे हो तुम इतने? Yes, this one, the one with the apron. Okay, so verbs are the most important elements of the sentence, and the doer of those verbs are the actions, and the doers of those actions are called subjects. How many types of verb do we have? 3. First is main verb, second is auxiliary verb, third is modal verb. The function of modal verb is? What is the function of modal verb? To define the mood of the sentence. And what kind of moods do we have in sentences? Suggestions, requests, commands. Very good. And what is the function of an auxiliary verb? Yes, anyone from the last benches, what is the function of auxiliary verb? Auxiliary verb होती क्या है? Have you heard of helping verbs? What is their function? We also call them, so the scientific word for helping verbs is auxiliary verb. All right. And what is their function? कथा सुनने आते हो तुम लोग यहाँ पे हैं? क्या फंक्शन होता है हेल्पिंग वर्ब का? To define the tense of the sentence. Give me the example of auxiliary verb. Is, am, are, was, were, has, have, had, be, been. Sorry, बेटा वो मेन वर्ब होती है, go, went, gone. आए हो क्लास तब पता चले तुम्हें. लगता है तुम लोग तो स्कूल में भी क्लासेस नहीं गए, इसीलिए go, went, gone ऑक्सिलरी वर्ब है. तो मेरा क्यों कर रहा है अमन? हैं? Okay, so we have left with the optional elements of the sentence, that are subject, complement, and adverbials. We have 2 compulsory elements, that is subject and verb. The function of these optional elements to add further extra information in a sentence regarding the compulsory elements. All right, so ये जो objects हैं, complements हैं, adverbials हैं, their function is to add extra information in a sentence in terms of subject and verb. Okay, let's come to objects. So, an object is a noun or a noun phrase or a pronoun that is affected by the action of the verb. In simple words, we can say that the function of an object is to add extra information in a sentence in terms of verb. जो verb के regarding extra information होगी sentence में, that will be called object. We have 2 types of objects. First is direct objects and the second is indirect objects. So, direct objects are directly associated with the action of the verb, and indirect objects, they receive the action of the verb. Direct objects are the result of the action. The object does something and the product is the object itself. For example, Mary wrote a poem. Alright? So, what is the verb here? Wrote, yeah, I mean, first अगर हम इसकी form को consider करते हैं, writing is the verb. To write is the verb. And what is the what is affected by that action? Poem. Alright? So, Mary is writing a poem in this sentence. The second is indirect object. Now, the function of indirect object is to receive the action. Let's see the example. Mary sent me an email. So, what is the verb? Sent. Now, what is being sent? So, email will be the direct object. And who has received that action? Me. Mary ने तो भेजा है ना बेटा, Mary कैसे receive करेगी? Mary sent me an email. So, directly associated है verb के action से क्या? Email. And who has received that email? Me. So, email will be your direct object and me will be your indirect object. You have to keep in mind that direct objects will directly be associated with the action of the verb. Right? And who has received that verb, that action? Me. In case of this sentence, and it can be, anyone in case of other sentences. Let's take some examples. Okay, so one more identifying feature of direct and indirect objects are that if one sentence has one object, the object will always be direct. Alright, if a sentence have two objects, then one will be direct and the other will be indirect. Let's see the first sentence. She went to the market. How many objects do we have here? How? Who has said 0? Please raise your hand. How? अच्छा, और मार्केट क्या हो गया? प्लेस. ऐसा हमने SVOCA में कोई कॉम्पोनेंट प्लेस पढ़ा था क्या? फिर वैसे तो she is also a noun. It's not a subject, it's a noun. Okay? It's not necessary कि objects जो है वो आपके places नहीं हो सकते हैं, ठीक है? So you have subject, that is she. A verb is went, which is which means to go somewhere, and where the person is going, the subject is going market. So that will be your object. We have only one object in this sentence, and that will be direct object. Let's see the second sentence. They gifted their mother a car. Now what is the verb here? Gifted. We have two objects. One is mother and second is car. Now what has been gifted? Mother can't be gifted to anyone. Obviously, car is being gifted. So the process of gifting is directly associated with car. What will be the direct object? Car. And who is the receiver? Mother. Alright, so your car will be direct object and mother will be indirect object. The next is she bought a house for her son. We have two objects here. Which one is the verb? Bought. Bought is the second form for? Or bring ki? Brought. We have two objects. One is house and the other is son. Now what is being bought? House. So what will be the direct object? And for whom it is being bought? For the son. So son will be the indirect object. It is not necessary that the indirect object always comes first. It is not necessary. So if you see in the case of second sentence, the indirect object has come after the direct object. But in the previous sentence, we have indirect object first and the direct object the other one. The last sentence is they played football. Now what is the subject here? They. What is the verb? Played. And what is the object? Football. So we have only one object, and one object is always an indirect object. Is this clear to everyone? Have you understood the concept of direct and indirect objects? The next is complement. So you might have come across various sentences which you discuss in your daily life which do not have a main verb. For example, my mother is a doctor. So आपके पास literal कोई action word नहीं है इस sentence में. Your helping verb becomes your main verb. Now see how complements work. They add extra information in a sentence in terms of subject. So object का function है to add extra information about the verb. Complement का function है to add extra information about the subject. Generally, sometimes it also adds extra information in a sentence regarding objects, but that we will discuss later on. The primary function of complement is to add extra information in a sentence regarding subject. It is co-referential to subject. Now what is the meaning of co-referential? Your subject itself is your complement. Alright? So there is a co-reference between subject and the complement. For example, the mangoes are tasty. We do not have any main action verb in this sentence. It means your main verb is your your helping verb is your main verb. What is the subject? The mangoes. And what is the complement? Tasty. Now what is tasty? Mangoes. This is the co-reference between the term tasty and mangoes. The complement is adding extra information regarding the mangoes, which is subject, which is the function of a complement to add extra information in a sentence regarding subject. See the next sentence. Her mother is a doctor. The same goes for this. We do not have any main verb, so your helping verb becomes your main verb. Your subject is her mother and the complement is doctor. So these are your subject complements. Let's see how object complements work. They made Rahul the captain. Alright. So what is the subject here? They. What is the verb here? Made. What is object here? Rahul. Now the captain is not about the maid. It's about the Rahul. क्योंकि अगर the captain जो है वो maid की information होती तो the captain object हो जाता क्योंकि verb के बारे में information add कर रहा था. But ये किसके बारे में information add कर रहा है? Object के बारे में. That is why it is object complement and it is co-referential to object. Alright? Your object and your complement, that is the captain, are one and the same. Let's see the second sentence. They named their son Mukul. The same goes for this sentence. Your complement is about the object. So these are the object complements, but generally objects come with the subjects only. There are some exceptions like these wherein objects are also defined by the complements, which we call object complements. Okay, let's come to the last element of the sentence, and that is adverbial. It is more or less similar to your adverbs. The function of adverbials are also to add extra information in a sentence regarding verb, but there is a condition कि verb की information सिर्फ in terms of when, where and how होती है, ठीक है? In terms of when, where and how, adverbial adds extra information in a sentence regarding verbs. Let's see an example. Occasionally she would share her sweets. Now what is the verb here? Share. And the term occasionally is about how she is sharing her sweets. So she shares her sweets occasionally. तो occasionally क्या है आपका? Adverbial है. Adverbial का एक और feature ये होता है कि adverbial is the most motile element in a sentence. Sorry, most mobile element in a sentence. It can be used anywhere. For example, she occasionally would share her sweets. She share her sweets occasionally. तो sentence का grammatical structure जो है वो खराब नहीं होता अगर आप term occasionally या adverbial को कहीं भी घुमाते रहो. Alright? But the main feature is it adds extra information in a sentence regarding how, when and where. Alright? So occasionally is about how. All of a sudden he ran away. Alright? So what is your verb here? Ran. What is your subject here? He. Away is the object. And the phrase all of a sudden is adverbial. It is also adding an information in a sentence regarding how she ran away or he ran away. The terms like tonight, yesterday, morning, evening, next month, previous month, all these are used as adverbials. Unfortunately, fortunately, frequently, alright, subsequently, abruptly, all of a sudden, suddenly, all these words are used as the adverbials in a sentence. Now your assignment for tomorrow is you have to write 20 words that are adverbials and frame one sentences each for that adverbial. So these were the elements of sentence that we had. Alright? Alright, this is our